There is a push to change the way things work at the polls to make sure something like that never happens again. News 8's Kim Pierce on the scene in Hartford with a look at the proposals.
We all remember the confusion this past election day in Bridgeport. They ran out of ballots. There were long lines. Some people gave up and went home. Well, the new Secretary of the State elected on that day has some proposals to make sure that doesn't ever happen again.
No voter who is registered and wants to cast a ballot on Election Day should ever be turned away from the polls, ever.
On Election Day, some people in Bridgeport were told they couldn't vote right then because the city ran out of ballots. The local registrars didn't order enough. To keep that from happening again, Secretary of the State Denise Merrill has a proposal for the legislature, give her office more authority over municipal registrars. Her proposal would mean municipalities must have Election Day emergency plans. And 30 days before the election, municipalities must report how many ballots they ordered. The Secretary of the State can then direct municipalities to order more. Any municipalities that don't report to the state must order enough ballots for every single registered voter. Urania Pettit is the Hartford registrar for the Working Families Party, and she likes the idea.
Basically, what we're looking for is guidance, because anyone can become a registrar. But does everyone have the capacity to be able to do the job and do it effectively?
In Bridgeport last year, the problem was President Obama held a rally in town just before the election, and that made for higher than expected turnout. If these changes had been in place, would they have helped?
You know, hopefully someone would have spotted the notion that the president came to town, and therefore maybe we ought to relook at that. We would have the authority to be able to call them and say, have you considered this in your ballot ordering?
The Secretary has some other ideas for the legislature to ponder as well. For one, making it easier to get an absentee ballot. For another, moving the state a little bit closer to early voting. In other words, giving people other options besides simply going to the polling place during certain hours on Election Day. On the scene at the Capitol in Hartford, I'm Kent Pierce, News 8.